here's the question. Am I willing to trust God enough that I'm going to say yes before I even know? And I'm going to tell you, my answer is yes. And the things that God has done in my life is a direct result in that answer. The things I've seen God do that were impossible, that didn't make sense, that were unlikely. The things I experienced during hardships, during really bad times, is because I am committed to trusting in God. Because here's the deal. He's either trustworthy or he's not. I'm going to call his bluff. He says he's trustworthy. That's how I used to think. I mean, that's how my mind operates. He says he's trustworthy. All right, let's find out. I'll trust him. So let me get it off me now. Let's talk about you. Do you trust God enough to say yes for the plan that he has for you? Because he always has a plan. Now, don't think about what the plan is down here, because it starts right here. And it may look like discipline, right? It may look like hard. It may look like uncomfortable. It may look like stress. It may look like forgiveness is in giving it to someone or asking it from someone. It may look like going back on what you said. You know, sometimes we make those "I'll never" statements. Sometimes we need to recognize that's called sin because we made a statement God never made. Do you trust God enough? I mean, do you really want to, here's what it boils down to. Do you want to see God do the things in your life that biblically he promises you? Pause that. Now think about everybody here. If there's 100 people in the room, you know, there's 100 people watching, completely say there's 100 people total just watching this, okay? 2 campuses and internet, everybody's just 100 people is all there is, because I can do math with 100 easier. If one person is committed to the work of God, I mean really committed to surrendering, really committed to obeying, really committed to persevering, really committed to that thing that God expects all of us to do, transformation. You got 99 not committed to transformation. You got 1 committed to transformation. That's kind of a problem. You know what I mean? Do you see how it affects the services? You see how it affects what's happening on the outside of the church? As the church leaves the 4 walls and goes out there, right? You see how it affects that? If 40 people, let's say, if 40% of the people are really committed to walking a life of transformation and 60 aren't, they're not bad people, right? Come to church. I mean, we're all come to church the same way. 40 is really committed to being transformed in the image of Jesus. And 60 is just like, yeah, I just show up, give my money, volunteer, take care of some babies. But I don't really want to, get uncomfortable. I don't want to be a life group pastor, or I don't want to give financially, or I don't want to, really, invite people or serve Christ, or I don't want to do anything, I don't want to do anything hard. I just want to come and be a part of the show. You see how it affects us? We're better than we were when there's only 1, but it still affects us, right? On the other hand, the higher percentage we get of people, I don't mean anything weird, just they're committed to transformation. They believe that God knew them before time, that God has a calling on their life because that's what the Bible teaches, every single one of us, that they don't know what that list is, but they know some things in the way that stand in front of that list, that there's some marriage issues, or some health issues, some financial issues, some whatever things that God needs to work in them to resolve. They know there's some stuff they've got to change. They've got to just lay it down and stop being so prideful, or stop being so insecure. They got to just lay some things down and say, okay, God, here I am, use me. God, I don't care what that is. I give you everything right now, today. This is me. I give you it all. Whatever you have in my future, I trust you. I trust that your way is better. I trust that your plan is better. I trust that you'll provide. I trust that you'll protect. I don't want to look wise to me. I'll walk through what I got to walk through. Imagine how different a church becomes if instead of being 40, it was 50, or it was 60, or 70, or it's 80. Now, we'll never get to 100%. Because a church like that, there's always going to be the new people coming in. There'll be skeptics coming in. There'll be atheists coming in. When we have atheists who've gotten saved here, right? Atheists ought to come to church. They shouldn't be afraid. A bona fide atheist should not be afraid of determining whether God's real or not. A skeptic ought to come. Well, why? They're skeptical. Well, it's either real or it's not. Come find out. The person who's broken, the person who's struggled their entire life, the person who's got so many failures in their past, they feel like they are a failure. The person that says, well, I'm too young, or the person that says, I'm too old. The person that says, I don't have enough money. The person that says, I have way too much money. It doesn't really matter. The point I'm making is that your decision is one of the 100. Our spiritual temperature is in direct proportion to our spiritual temperature. Our spiritual temperature is in direct proportion to your spiritual temperature. How we pray, how we give, how we worship, how we serve, how we obey, how we surrender, how we sacrifice. I mean, everything you want to name is directly related to you. You're one of the 100. When we add you to the mix, you either increase the temperature or you lower the temperature. It's not a bad thing, it's just the way it is. You either increase the faith or you lessen the faith. You either increase or you lessen the, whatever the thing is. I want you to trust God before he tells you anything. Because I believe that's how God expects us to trust him.